outlook for ageing in Asia is like many other countries. It's a massively growing market. But for those of us who are involved in this market, working in it all the time, we're seeing some trends and patterns that are similar in other countries have experienced. Also, there's some interesting lessons that can be learned from other countries that can also apply here. Look, it's a growing market. But it's a changing market. So even though there's some common patterns and demographic themes, it's different, and we need to be careful that we don't try and take things that have been successful in other places and do them and try and apply them here. So it's important to understand the characteristics and nature of each individual market, even though the overall pattern is yes, it's aging. I think there's a wonderful opportunity to improve seniors living in Asia. I mean, first of all, to say Asia is, we're talking about many different cultures, many different places. But overall, because it's in its infancy, it's just at the early stage of growth, compared to places like Australia, for example, where I'm from, there's a great opportunity to learn from the mistakes of others and do it really, really well. In Australia, we have legislation like a Retirement Villages Act and an Aged Care Act, and they really put fences, divisions between the services that we provide. Whereas in many places in Asia, there's no such legislation, and so what we can do is blur the lines between both of them and just focus on the needs of the individual, the needs of the customer, the resident. And so that's a great opportunity. And I think an example of how seniors living in Asia can be improved. I was referring to the fact that there's legislation specifically for retirement villages in Australia. There's not that in any part of Asia. There's legislation in Australia specifically for residential aged care or nursing homes. There's not, I don't know, that exists in any country in Asia, except in China where they're starting to introduce this. And in Australia, that legislation is as much to protect the rights of the resident as much as anything else. But it does enable a certain type of business model to be developed. For example, if you live in a retirement village unit in Australia, you can't sell that unit to your 18 or 25-year-old child, right? It must be sold to someone who's minimum age, and the minimum age is 55 and above, or one of the partners must be that age. So, that means that property, when it's developed, is always going to be for seniors. So the model of care can be developed around that with confidence. The operational model, the business model, the services that are provided, will always, we can develop those with confidence. No, now that doesn't exist in Asia, but that's not a problem. I'm seeing it as an opportunity because even though over time, when the market matures more, there's bound to be some legislation that comes to protect the industry and residents. I think what it does is enable us to develop a product or a service that's designed to suit the needs of the specific customer, the specific market, and it blends the best of the retirement village market and the best of the aged care market. Specifically, for example, someone, when they first come into seniors living, they're independent and they may not have any care needs. But of course, over time, if they're there for about 10 years, they become more frail, they develop needs, care needs and support needs. Now, in Asia, where you don't have that legislation in those two separate areas, there's an opportunity to develop a product that is very targeted and very suited for each person who's in the needs of each resident. I have totally loved the forum this morning. The best Aging Asia conference that I've been to, and I think this is either my third or fourth. Why is that? I think it's probably because some of the presentations this morning, I think we can really, wherever we are in Australia or Asia, we can really learn from some of those international experiences. I enjoyed hearing from Jane Ashcroft about what's happening at Anchor in the UK. Very, very interesting. And I also like the focus on the fact that in hearing about their experiences in different countries, we're learning about how to develop seniors living product for different parts of the market. The affordable end of the market and the premium quality end of the market. And that's really important. Because everyone's ageing regardless of whether they've got a lot of money or not much money.
Yep.
So we need to develop products. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'd congratulate Janice and the whole team for what's come together.